Hey y'all, happy Money Monday. You already know I'm back with another financial topic, but today's financial topic is just a little different because I am talking about how I went to the laundromat for 3 years and what that really means financially, as well as providing you with just a little motivation to keep going to reach your financial goals. But before I get started, y'all already know what to do. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. So let's just get right into this thing, right? So I actually recorded a short some time ago, and it was about how I went to the laundromat for 3 years. So if you haven't checked out that short, be sure to head over to my shorts to check it out. But it did pretty well, and it got me to thinking about, what can I really talk about in regards to a financial topic that will, provide some inspiration and some motivation to someone else. So here is my little laundromat backstory, right? So before I moved to where I live now, I actually had an apartment and it came with a washer and dryer. It was not, any extra cost or anything like that. And I had, gotten used to using a washer and dryer even previous to that. Like I had a washer and dryer in my apartment. Me and my roommate always rented one. So I never personally owned one, but we always had one within our apartment. So once I moved here, I actually moved from another state. So I moved from Florida to Texas. And y'all, listen, I'm like, look, I ain't moving again from state to state unless I got, just all my ducks in a row, like for real, for real. So I moved to Texas and I got my apartment. Little backstory, y'all. I actually had never even seen my apartment. I moved in a matter of 2 weeks. And the girl actually like showed me my apartment like over like the phone, but I actually never saw it in person. So I got here and I saw, ain't no washer and dryer. What's that about? And they were like, oh, we do have them available, but you have to rent them. I was like, yeah. And I had just moved, had to get my finances right. I was not debt free at all. And my finances were a hot mess. So I was like, I'ma just not do that part because it actually was going to be tacked on to the rent, making it higher. So I'm like, I'll do what I got to do. I'll get back to my roots, to my college days, and I'll just go, to the little laundromat. So the laundromat was not that far from me. In a car, it was probably like 2 to 3 minutes, y'all. So it wasn't like a big whoop to go there. And I had a little cart, so I would just load my cart up on Saturdays and I would go to the laundromat. Now, of course, when you get used to certain luxuries, it is like a headache to go outside of those things. But I said to myself, I'm like, girl, by the time you will rent that washer and dryer, you could have owned one. Like you could have bought one 2 times over. So I was just like, it didn't sound like the best financial decision. In addition to like, I couldn't afford it anyway at the time. Now, of course, as time went on, I was like, listen, like I could really feel it kind of like wearing on me. I would say about, year one was like, okay, this is just something that I do. And then, I would get a raise here and there, but this was when my money was a hot mess, y'all. I was nowhere near debt free. I was paying all this money to bills, to this debt person, to that debt person. So I had already told myself, look, I can take on another payment. I already knew that. So although about, year two-ish, like it started, like really wearing on me, year three, especially once I became debt-free, which y'all know, I became debt-free in July 2022. So coming up on a year here soon, it really started to wear on me. You don't just like, you don't think about those things, of course, most of the time people have time on Saturdays to do things. But it's just like, that's supposed to be your rest. If I want to go do this, I got to bring my clothes with me because I'm going to have to make sure that I wash before I bring it in, to the house or whatever. These little things just start to become, like hassles, especially when I was in my debt-free journey for real and I was doing DoorDash on Saturdays. I was teaching a class on Saturdays. And then I had like other meetings for my licensure, for my mental health license on Saturdays as well. So it's like you got to do all that. Then you got to go to the washing mat. It would take me like about an hour to wash. So I would do 30 minutes wash, 30 minutes dry. You had to have quarters, all these things that it's just like, oh my gosh, like it just, it starts to wear on you, as time goes on. Now, as I started to get my finances together, I really started thinking about, what am I going to do once I become debt free? I started to think about those major purchases that I wanted to make. And I've talked about this before. So I knew that I wanted to upgrade my phone because my phone was kind of falling apart. And then I knew that I wanted a washer and dryer, right? Now, I was like, listen, girl, you're getting sick of going to the laundromat, and the washer and dryer is going to come first. So as I really started working my way through my debt snowball, I started to think about those things. And then it also just gave me that push. My last thing that I paid off was my car. And I'm like, listen, sis, the quicker you get through this car is the quicker that you can have a washer and dryer. So, within year 3 is when it really started to wear on me, but I actually got that second win. Like I got that extra motivation to say, hey, you are almost at the goalpost. If you keep going, you're going to be able to get what it is that you want. You're going to be able, to have that luxury again. So that was something that really, really helped to push me throughout that last leg of my debt-free journey. So let's talk about FOMO, or the fear of missing out. FOMO was something that, in the past really stopped me from reaching my financial goals, right? So it was probably the reason why I had to go to the laundromat for 3 whole years. There was a time where I saw something, I got it, whether that meant financing it or whether that meant spending money that I did not have. And just that fear, that creeps into you when you see that sale, or when you think about, having to sacrifice or like, put away a luxury. This is really something that will stop you from reaching your financial goals. So yeah, when I think about it, I could have rented that washer and dryer, girl, but I would have paid for it, literally, in more ways than one. I could have went and financed the washer and dryer to say, oh, I don't want to rent one. I'd rather make payments to owning it. It would have stopped me from reaching my financial goals. It would have, put me even more in debt. So if you're watching this and you've had that feeling of FOMO, you probably have it right now. Think about the consequences to FOMO, right? It's going to stop you from reaching your financial goals. It's going to, really slow you down from doing the things that you want to do. My previous FOMO from years prior is what really, stopped the process of me being able to just live, financially free. Smart, of course. But, FOMO is just the killer to all of our financial dreams. So don't get caught up in it. It's okay for you to not have that luxury at this moment. You're going to get it, okay? Now, that brings me to my next point, sacrifice. What are you willing to sacrifice, right? So I remember thinking back to my graduate program. I was working full-time as a teacher in a classroom with students on the spectrum, so it was a really high needs classroom. I was in school full-time, in person, so my classes were not online. I was traveling from like central Miami to like all the way down, like kind of like further south to get to my college campuses. So that was easily like a 30-ish to 40-minute drive, like almost every day or several times a week. I wasn't getting home till like 7:30, 8 o'clock. Had to come home and study or, finish certain projects, get prepared for the next day for my class, and then wake up in the morning and do it all again. And I remember thinking to myself, like, this is so hard. I make this look easy, but it is so hard. And I would ask myself, like, how bad do you want this? Like, how bad do you want this? And I remember saying to myself, I want it bad. I want it so bad. I know what it will do for my future. I know what it will do for my career. I want this real bad. Carisha voice, okay? And, that is something that really kind of drove, my financial principles of getting out of debt, of going to the laundromat for 3 years. How bad do you want to be financially free? What are you willing to sacrifice? What are you willing to give up? So I was willing to go to the laundromat every Saturday for 3 years. I actually saw in a comment that somebody said, that was like close to like 1,000 times. I'm like, yeah. So are you willing to do something at least 1,000 times to get to where you want to be? That's tough. Like, that's hard. That is so hard. Trust me, I know. Listen, going in the rain, going in the snow, going in the Texas heat, it was hard, but what are you willing to do to get to where you want to go? You have to be willing to sacrifice. I think in our culture today, it's a lot of do what feels good, oh, it's okay, to just go finance that, or it's okay, to just, use money that you don't have. But it's not okay. If you want to get to where you want to be financially, you have to sacrifice. You know that you're sacrificing when it don't feel good. When it does not feel good. When you tired and you still got to go work that side hustle. When you tired and you still got to lug them clothes to the laundromat. Sacrifice does not feel good. Sacrifice means that you're missing out on something. You're giving up a luxury that you could probably go easily get. It's easy for you to go finance a washer and dryer. You probably ain't even got to put no money down. So it's not as easy to sacrifice though, right? So that's how you know that you're sacrificing. As somebody that did it for close to like 1,000 times, if not over that, I know it's hard, but hey, you can do it to get to where you want to be financially. You got this. Now, fast forward 3 whole years later, and I'm actually going into my 4th year of living here in Texas. But now, flash forward 3 years later, your girl got a washer and dryer. I actually bought my washer and dryer in November, and I remember the last time I went to the laundromat. It was cold, child. I had a big coat on, and I just was like, this is the last time I'm coming here. It actually was kind of, hard for me to make those big purchases once I got debt free, because I was so used to, being so frugal. But I remember I came home, I clicked on Lowe's.com. I already had it in my cart. I pressed buy, and that sucker came that Sunday around 3 o'clock, and we've been going good ever since. So now today, I can say, hey, I'm where I want to be. I got my washer and dryer. I'm working towards, the things that I want. And I say that to say because, in the beginning, it's kind of hard to see your way out. You don't know when you're going to be able to buy that. And, you have all of these other things that you're trying, to pay off. So I definitely understand that. But keep going, and this is not just about a wash and dry, of course that's what I'm talking about here, but it's really for other things in your life. Apply the same principles. Sacrifice. Don't worry about FOMO. Be willing to run your own race. What are you willing to do that uncomfortable thing to get to where you want to be at least 1,000 times? If so, then guess what? You're on the right track. Keep going. So if you want to know more about my financial journey, be sure to check out my playlist, my debt-free journey, and my Money Mondays playlist. I'm going to see y'all later. Bye.